Hi, everyone. Mark Power here again, your stuttering specialist. And today I'm going to talk about the real reason that people stutter. Now, a lot of people look at stuttering and they see somebody struggling and they're stressed, and it looks like the emotions are involved, and it looks like it could be a psychological problem. In the beginning of stuttering therapy in the 1930s, that's exactly what they thought. And actually, some of the main researchers in stuttering had that as the cause of stuttering. So they did their research on that. They said their theory, with no proof or evidence, was that some parents called too much attention to the stuttering of their preschool children and actually turned them into adult stutterers by causing them more stress. This is something that people believed for years. The treatment for that was actually psychotherapy to resolve the emotional problems of the stutterer. Now, I experienced some of that myself. Years ago, my mom took me up to Connecticut to see a so-called stuttering specialist. And that was the theory at the time that he was trained in. So he had me do psychotherapy with him. And, for a couple of years, I actually became a happier person in high school, but I still stuttered just as bad. As a matter of fact, he stuttered worse than I did, and there was no improvement at all. So, luckily, in the 1960s, they actually did some research that showed that stuttering was a physiological problem. What they did was they measured the brain, and they used MRIs, the EEGs, and cortical blood flow studies. And they found that there are structural differences in the brain and processing differences in people who stutter, the 1% of the population who stutters. And they proved this by publishing in peer-reviewed journals that were reviewed by other stuttering specialists and published. Now, this is how science can really change things a lot. So remember, I was in Connecticut, and my mom was told that she was really the cause of my stuttering because she was one of the parents that caused too much stress and turned me from a normal speaking preschooler into a stutterer. Well, she felt bad her whole life because of that. Luckily, before she passed away, I was able to read the research and demonstrate and tell her that it really wasn't her fault. But a lot of parents felt guilty about this for a lot of years. So processing differences, they found that more activity is produced in the right hemisphere of stutterers when they speak. Now, normal or non-stutterers use the left hemisphere to speak with. As a matter of fact, there's a special area in the left frontal lobe called Broca's area. And that's where speech happens. That's where you put your sounds together and make sentences in the brain. So if you're using the right hemisphere, well, that's not going to be too productive. That's the wrong hemisphere. So because the right hemisphere is more involved in emotions, perceptual type processing, and actually the emotions may trigger some of the problems in stuttering too. So the left hemisphere is the analytical hemisphere. That's really good for putting sequences of things and short timing things like speech and sounds together and organizing it. Stutterers use the right hemisphere, the wrong hemisphere. So treatment for stuttering, effective treatment, should really be focusing on compensating for these brain differences. What they've found is when you can replace a stutterer's speech with a new way of talking, that works. Like singing. You know when you sing, you don't stutter. And you're really trying not to stutter. It just doesn't happen. because you're actually using a different part of the brain, and stuttering is not a question there. So if you can replace your stuttering with singing, you could talk to anybody you want all day long if that was acceptable. Unfortunately, it sounds really weird, but if you could replace it with some of the components of singing and it sounded natural, you'd be doing very well. And that's exactly what the program I have to offer does. The MPI program does this with real-time feedback of your own voice, uses a throat microphone and sends your voice back to an app, and you can see how your voice is working. So I'd like to tell you more about the program. Get in touch. There's some links at the bottom of this video. I'm accepting new patients now. Thanks a lot. Mark Power here, and if you like this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more helpful videos like this one. Also, be sure to hit the share button and leave us a comment below so that others can benefit from it as well. I'll be recording a lot more helpful videos like this one to help you overcome your stuttering. And if you'd like to be notified, then click on the bell icon below.